Jon. And, you know,
Hello.
maddest, hottest ticket in town, you certainly did. You got 10 Oscar nominations. You got 7 BAFTA
Crazy,
nominations.
crazy.
You scooped them all in.
Meanwhile, the whole time I was just stressed about movie 2. Like,
There you
oh
go.
no, I gotta make this thing.
Well, we're safe in the knowledge here that we have 2 movies to talk about, but
Yeah.
obviously 99% of the people in this room have only seen number 1. We have the treat of your lifetimes in that Jon has brought with him a little spectacle. A little spectacle from Wicked for Good. You are going to be one of the first audiences to see it, so get ready for that. And just before we do, we're going to have a chat. We're going to show a few clips from number 1, just to remind you, and a little tempting from number 2, from Wicked for Good. Please don't don't film the clips with your phones for obvious reasons. And if you do, I think there's a burly security man here who will send the flying monkeys to you.
Yes.
So don't do that.
I had to beg Universal to let me bring something from For Good, so, and I want to make it a surprise for everybody out there. So please, yes, try to keep it a secret.
Okay, let's get to it. Jon, I saw a great conversation piece that you did online, an interview that you did online with Cynthia, where which actually you should all Google. It's a really nice conversation between the 2 of you. And you asked her about the kind of creative moments that led in her life, that kind of led up to her choosing a kind of creative career. And I want to ask you the same question. Was yours a kind of creative family?
Well, my family has a Chinese restaurant. I grew up in a restaurant in the Bay Area near San Francisco. And yeah, Bay Area. It's still there, 56 years later. And so, you know, a restaurant where my dad's in the kitchen, my mom's in the front, my dad switches to come to the front. I mean, it was a house of stories. Everyone, this is 80s, 90s, and so people were coming in. This is in Silicon Valley before it was considered the Silicon Valley. So engineers were revered. And they were going to change the world, and no one was on the cover of magazines yet. No one was rich yet. It was just this like town that like loved innovation. And so being around that, stories were always how their company just failed, or what they envisioned for the future of the world. And none of it, everything seemed possible when you're young at that age and hearing these stories. So yeah, I would think it was very creative. And my dad being a chef, and my family owning this place was always about telling stories and being, my parents would say, ambassadors, because they, you know, when people treat them weird or whatever coming into the restaurant, we would get angry. The kids would get angry. I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and they would say, hey, we are ambassadors. Like, we may be the first Chinese family that they meet. So no matter what, they need to walk out of here, not just their bellies full, but their hearts full. Mm-hmm. So that the next time they see a Chinese family, they won't make their assumptions. They'll be like, oh, maybe they're like that other family. Like, who knows what they assume? So that's always been instilled in us since we were kids. Yeah.
And then you personally, were you, it's going to be quite whoopy today, were you a kind of creative kid? I mean, were you like an eyes and teeth sort of show kid?
I was a hyperactive kid. I was in, like, our school had a lot of shows, so I was in those. I took tap dancing for 12 years. Being the youngest, my parents would take my sisters to classes, and she was eventually like, you gotta take a class, because you can't just like sit there the whole time. So I agreed to take tap dance with only my sister. So me and my sister would do it. My mom would, for the talent show, force us to do it in front of the whole school. She'd bring out the giant wood boards for us, and then we would do me and my shadow or whatever. I'd be in like a full black unitard being the shadow. And then all my friends were performers. I took drums, saxophone, violin, guitar, piano. I wasn't good at any of them. My strategy, because my mom's like, you have to rehearse, you have to practice. And so my strategy was, I'll just quit every few months so that I don't ever have to really practice that much. I loved drawing. That's what I wanted to be an animator. And then I got a camera in my hand, and it just felt easier. I could I just have to shoot things. But that's what changed my life, was looking through that lens.
And were you a musical theatre fan? I mean, did you?
Yeah.
What was your first encounter with Wicked?
Well, we went to, my parents came to America when they were like teenagers, and so they didn't know English at all, except from Beatles music and Elvis. And so they really wanted us to be just in the American culture. So every weekend they would take us to a show in the city. It's either opera season, ballet season, or musical season. So I saw lots of shows. I was a Phantom of the Opera freak. I had the beach towel. I had the jacket. I had the pop-up book. I had the porcelain mask. I had the pin I would wear to school. And so yeah, I loved that. I loved Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat growing up. Hey, yes. And then even there's a show called George M. And Yankee Doodle Dandy. I don't know if I saw it at the Stanford Theater with my grandfather and with George M. Cohan, who wrote all these songs of very patriotic songs. And when we'd see the show, I loved this guy so much. It was about optimism and whatever. So I was like, my middle name's M. Murray. So I'm gonna sign everything Jon M, because he signed everything George M. So from then on, it was always, when I did my short films, like, Jon M Chu, and it just stuck. So it's very much a part of my life.
But the first time you saw Wicked?
Oh, and the first time I saw Wicked was I was in film school at USC, and my mom was going through chemo the year before, so she couldn't go out, but then she was able to, and she's like, let's go to the theater again. I was like, yes, I'm down. So I flew back, she's like, Steven Schwartz has a new show. Before it ever went on Broadway. So I was patient zero. I knew nothing about this. I think it played for 30 days in San Francisco before. And so I got to witness it without any preconceived ideas or notions. So I got to feel what it felt like to watch it for the first time. When she comes down in the bubble, be like, oh my gosh, we're back in Oz. And what that feeling was like. Oh my gosh, what happened? I can't say too many spoilers, but oh my gosh, that happened? How could that be? So I always hold on to that first viewing because that was so pure. And I could see the movie at that point. I thought someone else would make this movie, and they were a very lucky person who knew 22 years later that I would get the call for it.
And lots of people did try and make that movie.
And lots of people did. And I kept checking in. I was like, hey guys, how's that going? Now I make movies. Maybe I can, and never got a call back. Yeah.
Well, fast forward then, 22
Yes.
years, when you're there sitting and finally the movie is yours to be the making.
Yes.
You had multiple sources to work with. So you've
Yes.
got Wizard of Oz, you've got
Yep.
the book, you've
Yep.
got the stage show, you've got, various scripts.
Yep.
What did you have at that point, and kind of what was the process to kind of whittle down all those sources into the, the
Yeah.
Bible that we see?
Well, at the time where they finally called me back was during the COVID lockdowns. So we were like trapped, and I was finishing up In the Heights at the time, and they had seen In the Heights. Thank you very much. Thank you. I love that movie. It's my heart. And a part of me was like, should this movie be made? Like, there's been so many directors. Is this movie the right time? And the words, and I started going through the lyrics, and the words of Elphaba when she says, something has changed within me, something's not the same. And I just felt, even though those words never really hit me, it was during this time that it really, like, I don't know, just hooked it was like, this is about now. This is about all the rules falling apart in front of us and not knowing what the next step is for us and who we are. And when you know the truth, who do you decide to become? And it just felt like that in-between moment. So the first thing that I did was we couldn't be in the same room. So I got on Zooms with Steven Schwartz and Winnie and Dana Fox, our other writer, and Mark Platt. And we, for months, I was like, I just want to listen. For 3-4 months, it was just, let's go through the script, let's go through every script that's existed of it, every word, and tell me why you did something, and I'm gonna ask questions, like were there alternate scenes, and why this lyric, and how did this come to be, so I can catch up where you guys are. Mm-hmm. And that was a really helpful process, because I got to understand their intention, even before the show itself. Like, we really wanted to be like this, or I was never happy that in the show it ended up like this, so I got to know the drama and all the ups and downs of the creation of it, and why they had to speed up this show for whatever reasons, why they needed this number, because you needed energy on stage. So it just gave me the blueprint, and I put little pings every time I had a question. I just write it down just to plant a seed so that we could return to that. And then for the next 6 months, it was returning to those things and just digging it out and be like, well, why does she do that? What are her powers? Does she just fly at the end? But if she flies, I need to know that that's a part of who she is from the very beginning. So we need to add that into Wizard and I. Okay, if this movie ends at defying gravity, then I need to know that I need to, then this is her story in this movie. So it was Elphaba book, the Denslow drawings that really inspired like the look of it and the feel of it. Of course, the 1939 movie just as inspiration, and it was Wicked. The show was the number one because that was my first experience and everything, and then. And of course, just us creating, like, how do you make this world touchable and livable? So.
And you talk about Defying Gravity being the end. Of course, it's not the end. It's now we're going to,
Yes,
Wicked
yes.
for good. At which point did you split the two up?
When I came in, there was already a debate because what I had read was like a 200-something page script that was cobbled together, and it felt like mishmash. It didn't feel like a real movie. They had taken out songs, and they had. It just didn't feel like Wicked. And then they had other versions where they had already split it and tried it, but both of them didn't feel like full movies. And so part of it was just the decision of what to do. It was sort of stuck in this frozen place. So I knew whenever you join a project, what I've learned is you get like 2-3 weeks where you're like God. You can do whatever. So you better do your big shifts then. Because at week 4, you're just there. You're just another person there, So you got to make your big moves quickly. And so my thing was, we're committing to 2 movies. Deep down, I'm like, well, let's see how they work out. But if we always are splitting it, or if we're even just debating it, you're never going to get 2 great movies. So, all right, you're going to end on Defying Gravity. How do you make that the emotional core of the movie? That's what you want for her the whole time, so it feels satisfying. They're not confronting the wizard. That's not what the story's about in movie 1. And they're not, and Glinda doesn't ever make the big decision in the end. So this has got to be Elphaba's journey. Okay, so if you're doing that, then let's go backwards. Oh, how do you know if you want her to fly, then where is her wounds? Why do you want her to fly? Oh, we have to see her childhood. We have to see not just the birth, we have to see how she takes this as a child and what are the things that are said to her. And then going to Shiz in the show, she's not, she's in the show, she's already in Shiz. She's actually going there. So then we're like, well, if she's the main character, you have to give her an obstacle. She was not supposed to go there. She just happens to be there. All right, then you'd have to define her power. Okay, it's about her feelings and how she can express her feelings for the first time. But is it about control or is it about surrender to who you are? Okay, so then we have to adjust. Okay, so everyone's trying to tell her to control, and then she has to realize it's about surrender. Okay, because Defying Gravity is about surrender. Okay, and by the time and then you have to hint at flying. Okay, so Wizard and I, we have to show that she has this relationship with gravity. Okay, so let's start her at the lowest part of Shiz, even below the land, almost to touching the water, which is the thing that kills her ultimately, or not, you never know. And then, so how close can she get to that? She has to walk, not even solid ground, some steps, and then some stones, and then she has to get a little higher and higher and higher and get to the edge where she actually like lifts. Oh, she has this secret power that she can actually fly, and she's not going to share with anybody. And she's going to get to the edge and look out, and we see the rainbow and the bluebirds flying, and she's just not ready yet. But then when she turns away and she looks back, and she's like, but she will be one day. Like, she knows it. We know it. To me, we had to really build that into this movie. Otherwise, we'd be at the end of movie 1. We would just have the Wicked theater fans, which are great, but you need more than that. And it wouldn't feel the satisfying thing of like, she got the thing that we always wanted her. And then in the thing that in Defying Gravity, when we actually were, I sort of pitch it to my crew before, because it's not really written. I mean, it's kind of written in there, but not the details. And when I pitched it to everybody, okay, she's going to go here and she's going to have this, and we're going to break up the song, we realized that this song, it can't just be a song that ends the movie. It has to be a sequence because it's the end of the movie. So how do you break up one of the most famous songs ever and not feel like you're leaving it and just breaking it apart too much? But we knew if we could lean in emotionally of like where she's breaking, and then right when the moment you think she's going to fly, it's me, and she jumps out, that she has to earn that flight, that she can't just do that. So what if she fell? And I remember everyone being like, so scared to do it, but like it made so much sense. This is what we've been rooting for. That fall, everyone is gonna take everyone your breath is going to be taken away. And then she falls, what is she going to see? She's going to finally be able to see her younger self and know she has to have a reason personally why she needs to fly, because she's not actually saving anybody at the end of this. There's no plot really that makes the flight anything victorious. So it's got to be internal. So when she's flying, she sees herself, she reaches out her hand to save herself or save this next generation, whoever, and she grabs the thing and then she flies up, and that is what we've been waiting for this whole time. So when we split it and allowed us, or gave us the freedom to then think of it as its own thing instead of two things separately. Yeah.
John,
sorry,
I was going
that's
to
a
show
long
some
answer.
clips, but actually I'd rather you just talked us through the movie.
Yeah, sorry.
So much more fun.
I could do it. I could do it.
But actually, let's give you a breather. Let's have a quick clip. We'll go back to Shiz and remind ourselves of movie number one. If we could have the What Is This Feeling clip, please. So the key here, sorry to stop that, but the key here was always going to be casting. And obviously, in that 22-year period, lots of other people had been set up for those two roles, like, Emma Thompson and Michelle Pfeiffer and Nicole Kidman, and like everybody had been associated. Why did you choose these two?
When I first joined, I was like, Wicked's big enough. Let's discover people. I had just gone through this with Crazy Rich Asians, finding all this new talent that could come in their career. Yes! Now we get the pleasure of seeing them lead movies, each of them, and same thing with In the Heights. It was so fun to like just find the best. And so that was my mentality going into Wicked. Of course, we're getting incoming calls from every single actor wanting to play these roles. And so you're not gonna say no, like just come in and see it. But what we realized quickly was these songs are very difficult not to sing, but also to act, and then to bridge the two even more so. And so what we realized is that you do need people who have experience. Like it was just someone who could cut through all of that, or we just weren't finding him. And every time someone like Ari came in, I was in disbelief. I was like, there's no way she's that good. Like she's been declaring this since she was like 14 years old. And you just don't believe it. And she comes in and she does it, and you're like, she's the most interesting person in the room. She was funny, bring her in again. Let's test her. Let's see if she's willing to like be vulnerable. Tell her to just come in not looking like Ariana Grande. Can she do it? And she'd come in and do it. And she would be even more like Glinda. Like, no way, bring her in again. We brought her in so many times because I just, you could fake it for two auditions. I don't know, 3 and 4 when you start to like bring other people in, and every time she was the most. And I remember the last one, what I realized at that point was I had to surrender. But 2, she was so funny and so real, and she was going off book. And I realized it felt like I was talking to the real life Glinda, and that the show was an interpretation of this person that it was about. That's when I realized what the identity of the movie could be. And I was like, oh, that's the relationship between that show. The show's years later, however many years later, and the Oz players are putting that on. And this is, who are at the, Wizamania, they'll do this show one day, but this is what actually happened. And then when Cynthia came in, she came in, she's such an icon, and you expect her in front of the Hollywood Bowl, like with her big dress and her things, and she came in with a t-shirt and jeans, and she was so tiny, and she told us the story about, going to school here and trying to find roles for herself, and that singing Wicked was an escape for her. She would rent out a room with her friend, and they'd sing stuff from Wicked. And when she started singing Wizard and I, she started, did that really just happen? Did that actually, all that, and she was this little girl. And she reminded me of, being in my dorm room, dreaming about being a filmmaker. That yearning was so deep in her. And then you see it grow in her through that song until she's finally at the end, and she's so expansive. It felt like the dynamics of what this movie could be. So every time these two showed me what this movie could be, and I knew that I could assist in getting us there visually and emotionally, and could tie it all together, that's what cracked it for me.
And so obviously they're all triple threats. You knew that already. They
Yes.
can act, sing, dance, they can do everything.
Yes.
What about the fourth element, which is the kind of chemistry between them? Like, how did you model that? How did you test that? How did you know that was going to work?
I actually did it. We had done chemistry reads with other people, so each of them had read with several other people, because I don't know why, in my head I hadn't matched them. I think I was just in a different headspace, And but after the long day of getting everyone together, and I knew I couldn't really bring them back. I'd brought them back enough. Like I should know. I knew who the best for Elphaba was, and I knew the best for Glinda. Like it was undeniable. And talking with Stephen and Winnie and Mark, we just were like, this is it. If they hate each other, the film will pick it up, and that's great. Film loves energy. What is this feeling? It's gonna be amazing. And if they love each other, it's also gonna be great. Energy is energy. And I might have to, put up with this energy, but I can do that. I'm fine with that, as long as it's better for the movie. It wasn't until we actually cast them, and we all came together for the first time. Again, this is during lockdown, so I didn't even meet Winnie in person until this night. And they came over, and I already been working with Nathan Crowley, our production designer, and so we had some designs, and Paul Taswell, our costume designer, and Frances Hannon, who's here, our hair and makeup. Where is she? Amazing. And so we showed them some of the stuff, so they got excited, and then there was a piano there, and Schwartz was like, maybe I should play. I was like, great. I mean, who's gonna sing? I don't know. And then the girls, they decided to sing for good. And so in my living room, I grabbed my kids, like, you guys better get out here and listen to this. This is history. Meanwhile, I was also crossing my fingers like, please be good, please be good, please be good. And they sang in my living room, no, not prepared or anything, and it was devastating. It was like there was a spiritual thing in the room, and we knew what we had at that moment. All of us knew, and how special it was going to be.
And it became so special. I mean, obviously the reason I chose that clip was because of the, we all did it. Yeah. Did you have any sense, like at which point during the production process did you spot that this was going to be this, that this was going to, became a TikTok, a meme, or this or that? I mean, it became everything.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever had that consciousness. I mean, I like movies that reach people. I think that's the point of movies, at least the ones that I fell in love with. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's great to include everybody into, especially a story like this, which is so expansive and is a reflection of who we are in hard times, in great times, in all the challenging times of our. It's a classic. There's a timeless tale to this that can also feel timely. And so, to me, movement. I think musical movies are the best genre of movies. So, and I yes. And they've declared it dead. They've declared comedies dead. They've declared romantic comedies dead. They've declared cinema dead. But movie musicals can do that no other medium, movies can do that no other medium can do, is it's the one thing in our time, in our world, that we have to actually put down our phones. We actually have to sit in the dark and give space to something more than 10 seconds, 15 seconds of our lives. It's a time where you are with strangers and you share in a new perspective. And if a movie musical is done right, at least in my opinion, people can do it all sorts of ways, but for me, music is so powerful. It is the way, it's not about being bigger, it's about being deeper into a character. So they can have a soliloquy, but you're expressing it that immerses from their voice themselves. And it's, three notes can describe what a paragraph of dialogue could never. 3 lyrics could then elevate that to another level, because it can, especially when it's from Stephen Schwartz. And then movement on top of that. It's not just dance, it's movement. How do you lean on a couch? How do you lay on a bed? How do you flip? What does that say about all those things? So you layer all this stuff. Simon Hayes is here, who recorded it live. He's right there. If you haven't checked out his Instagram, go check it out. He will give you the nitty-gritty of the craft. But this guy, first of all, I was really scared of him, because you cannot make a noise. He does not want to ruin that live music, but thank God for him, because what we discovered is their live singing was such a part of how we were going to tell this story. Because they were so good at singing, I never had to worry about.
Is that your choice or their choice to do that?
We had options starting, because I didn't know where they're going to feel comfortable. We had already done it in rehearsals, because that's how we rehearsed. They spoke it first, and then they started to sing it. And it just came so naturally. And when we started to shoot, they wanted to do it live just to get us. Well, actually, we started to sort of, at first, like maybe our first couple takes, we just do the pre-record. And it just wasn't clicking. And so they would just do it live. And we always had a live pianist there, so we could always switch. You're either on the track or you're with the live pianist. we did that in the Heights, so that was really helpful for us. So I always had it. So then we just switched, because then they could be off tempo. Then they could start the song how they wanted to start, and they would just follow. And that's when we found out, like, oh, that's the way this movie's going to work. And of course, the orchestrations that come later can then can reflect how they're feeling. But that was ultimately what we wanted to do there. But all of that, like, to me, that's the greatest of movie musicals. Makes the music and the movement is not an add-on. It is birthed from those moments, and you almost don't even know it's a musical. I'm so surprised that most people who watch this don't say, oh, it's a musical first. They say it's a great story, it's a relationship story, and that was always the goal. Like, you don't even feel, because it's all about feeling it, not watching it. So anyway, that was always part of it. And if you don't have those girls, you don't have Simon Hayes, you can't do it.
Yes,
for sure.
I want you to pick apart a scene for us. Let's just have a quick look at it. It's Dancing Through Life, because there are some other people in this movie apart from Cynthia and Ariana. Okay, thank you.
Johnny Bailey.
Okay, so when there's a scene like that, what do you start with? So you start with the song.
You start with the song, and they as soon as they got there, we had to build a whole recording studio. I think we called it the Oz Does Studio or something like that, right next to our stages, because they needed to be doing fittings and makeup tests all at the same time. So it was like a full-on show in the back lot. So it was like building Disneyland, because then you'd be next to the 60-ton train or the yellow brick road, and you go to room to room to room. It was a pretty incredible situation. But they record their song, and that's like the Stephen Schwartz draft, where they get to go through Stephen Schwartz school and like do it the way that he wants them to. And then I come in sort of in the later parts of that, just to like, hey, I think this is going to change a little bit in the movie, so maybe have an option that's more relaxed, or that's more this way or that. So they get a couple options, knowing that we're probably going to never use these tracks. They're just for rehearsal, also for our discussion with the actor and all that stuff. And then we go into, and while we're doing that, I'm meeting with our heads of departments, because again, it's not all written down. So something like Dancing Through Life was like, hey, it's in the library, but we don't know what the library looks like. So they don't know what to build, they don't know what to budget, and so they get a rude awakening when they come in one day, and we spent about a couple of weeks, like every 2 days, I would present a couple numbers so everyone could hear what I'm saying. This is without the studio, and try to like figure out what they actually have to do in order to make this happen. And so for Dancing Through Life, I walked them through, okay, it is a library, but in this library, we have this giant chamber that's going to spin, because we wanted to...
And that's something you came up with?
Yes, me and Chris Scott, our choreographer, we had sat down nights before, and it's fun. We just like sit around and talk about ideas and why certain thing. And this one thing we kept talking about is like, if this is about defying gravity, then we have to find where everybody sits in their relationship to gravity. And where does Shiz sit in that, and where does the students sit, and how do they move? Okay, maybe they're a little bit more stiff, and what Fiero's going to do is going to loosen them up, get their joints going. And the circular thing, everything was sort of circular in the design of the sets and the buildings of Oz. And then as Elphaba gets more into it, we're going to start the sort of the cracks and the triangles and the Z of Oz, I guess. And so in that, as you can see, when it turns, it eventually says Oz because it's all there. But this idea of circular and perfect, and he's going to break this at least a little bit, was fascinating to us. Now, could we build it or not? I didn't know. At that point, it was just like, we're going to ask for it. This is our dream state. So we said this sort of understanding that he's in between the gravity. He's not going to know kind of which way it's up or down, and then through this whole thing, we wanted to be indoor outdoor. Actually wanted like grass on the inside as well, but we didn't have enough. We were putting more money in other parts of the budget, so we just said, okay, just open air. There was one point where I wanted like little mounds, so that instead of seats, you lay on the ground and you read like you're at a park or something. But that also fell away. So once we set that to everybody, everyone starts to get to work in designs and things like that. And at the same time, Chris starts to work with some dancers, like a skeleton crew, not our actors yet. And he starts to put some movement and finds like, okay, well, how do Shiz students move? How are they going to change in the Oz Dust? And what does this do to show that transition? And then the girls come in at some point, and Johnny Bailey, and then he starts to figure out how they move. Johnny Bailey came pretty late in the process. And so once they figure that out, then I come into rehearsals and watch, and me and Alice then start to shoot. I worked with Alice since college, our DP. She's amazing, and we shoot it with our little iPhones, and our camera operators are also there, so they're all watching. We bring the whole crew to watch, and then I start cutting it together on my laptop, and we start to make adjustments according to what we think could work. Props start to make the things that we realize we need. Oh, we need books that they can dance on, they can throw off. Okay, this table needs to be hold a certain weight. This column needs to be held, be able to hold some weight. Otherwise, they could make them all hollow and save some money. But like, no, it needs to be supportive of people. They learn that they should just make everything walkable and danceable on it because we can do anything on that day. Costumes needs to know the shoes and the floor, how that's all going to relate, and then they start rehearsing completely. Meanwhile, remember, we shot both of these at the same time. So before we shoot one frame of anything, I think it's like 22 numbers that we have to have rehearsed, blocked, looked at by every department, budgeted by every department. This was a massive technical sort of challenge beyond just the creative. And so to keep that online of like, hey, this needs to be, of course, this has to tell the emotional story. But in order to do that, we have to have such clarity and such specificity that it connects to the story. Otherwise, we're gonna go off the rocker somewhere else. So I think we made a big board, and in each scene of both movies, we put the emotion of how it feels, how we want the audience to feel. So for Elphaba, the yearning, or courage, or whatever it may be, and then all the different departments would understand, like, okay, yearning, I need to make the colors then, she needs to be a totally different color than everything else. Let's be devoid of color except for her green, or let's make the set so that the set has a lot of negative space. So it was that kind of granular thinking in massive scale that we had to get through, and we just had to be really disciplined and adjustable as it goes. And that's sort of, the process is iterative, and even on the day, we're changing things. I mean, even the sliding, we couldn't build that thing, I don't know how many millions of dollars. Insurance was like, you can't put an actor inside that. And we're like, well, we just spent a lot of money to make this thing. It used to be 5 chambers, then it turned into 3 chambers. We're like, okay, we can deal with 3 chambers. How does a technocrane go in when you have these ladders that are stuck? So those aren't movable. And so those are spinning on different axes as the other one. It's really easy for someone to get their hand caught and get chopped up, and so how do you do that? And you have this, you're not gonna get the machine until 2 weeks before you're shooting. So what kind of dancers do you need? Do you need b-boys who know how to do that with their bodies, or do you need stunt people? Or do you need like circus performers in there? Or do you need regular dancers? Can Johnny do it? These are like the amount of questions that are coming on me every day. And you just do it at 2 weeks, and that's what's helpful to work with friends, that we can say really truthfully to each other, can you do it? I'm like, bro, we're gonna make them spend this money. You have 2 weeks. Can you get it together? He's like, I will do my best.
Jon, my heart rate is going up just hearing about all that.
It's why I have to talk so fast, because I just got to get it out.
You sound so confident and so kind of like, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. Like, do you ever, when is the moment when you go, oh my God, this is just too much, I've bitten off too much?
Oh, every day. Walking on that set is the scariest thing. Yeah. One, as a director, you're built for it, or you should be built for it. You get used to it at a certain point. When you make decisions, you're going to hear the whispers. Oh, I don't know about that. You're going to hear the producers over there. I mean, our producers are great, but you hear all the things. You hear the actors rumbling. You hear all the things. And what I've learned is 2 things. One, as the director, I'm the only, the machine is going, and the machine is so big that we're all focused on the shot that we thought was going to happen. We're going to go down this aisle. I'm the only one who, on the day, if it's not working, can say, screw that. We're going down this aisle. If I don't say it, no one else actually has the power to do that. So I always say the movie is talking back to you on the day of the shoot. We could prep for months and months and months, a year even, 20 years even. But the day of the shoot, the movie is doing things because it's made of thousands of people. The glove isn't working that day. In fact, the jacket is really working that day with him, and he's finding something with that jacket. If I don't spot that on the day, then it just doesn't exist. But if I spot it on the day and I get it, it's something that you couldn't have written in a script, you couldn't have thought about it in your bedroom. If you could think about it and imagine it in your bedroom, it's not good enough. It's the thing that happens on the day. When I say, you know, we're gonna do it over here, Simon suddenly is freaking out. He's like, I just set up all our mics over there. And he's got, but our crew is so good, they're like, we get it. We're gonna follow you, Jon, and go that way. And sometimes it's what the actors want. I feel like it's more sitting on the floor here. And if I ignore them, say, no, we're walking, and we do that for half the day, and we're forcing something that, it's not about if they're walking or sitting, it's about what that character is feeling, and are we gonna feel that? And if sitting on the floor is what it is, then we'll change everything. We built this whole side of the set, and I have to be okay with being like, sorry, we're doing it on the floor here. And I'm just okay with that. So, yeah. I know that you can make a mistake too. I know that if I make a mistake, I say, oh, never mind, we'll go back, we can do that. And that's just, and editing we can do a lot, but I also, I see it growing up in a restaurant, I see it as my dad cooking in the back. When he's getting all the ingredients together, he's squeezing the lemon, he's bringing out the thing, he's chopping all the little pieces and getting it all prepared. And then he gets to walk out. And then he's putting like, oh, a little dash of sugar, a little dash of salt. Like when I'm shooting, I am not making the movie. I'm getting all the ingredients. So it really frees me of the pressure of we're doing popular right now. Oh my gosh, if this isn't perfect, I'm dead. We're doing for good. Oh my God, this is the last part of the whole saga. What am I gonna do? I can't think like that. I have to think, let's just get the ingredients. What is gonna make this feel real? Oh, you're gonna get this close to each other, great. Let me just get that. You know what? I want an option where it's not that close, you're turned away and you have to actually like reach out to her. Okay, let's get that. And nobody feels the pressure to perform. It's just, let's get the truth out of it. And in the edit room, then I get to cook. Then we get that. And Myron, our editor, is amazing and he knows just the right touch and we can refine it.
Jon, I'm keeping us to time horribly. We're running very short at the moment, but we've got one more clip from Wicked to go. I was going to pick a scene where, you know, a kind of dialogue scene, an acting scene, because I wanted to talk about the bond between Glinda and Elphaba. But actually, the Ozdust scene does everything we need it to. So let's have a look at that scene. So talk about a scene like this, which it's a very emotional scene, like weirdly sitting here, like it feels very emotional. How much emotion is on the set when you're doing a scene like that, or how much is it all incredibly technical and you look there and you stand here and...
No, it was intensely emotional. We did like 17-minute takes because in order to show the build-up, she couldn't just plug in. She had to do the whole thing. So our Steadicam operator, Karsten, had to do this, and maybe it was like 14 minutes, and then I think we had like 72 different lighting cues, because of course you can't have camera shadow, so every time he's walking around, the lighting is shifting so you don't get the camera shadow on her, and especially because you have to be so intimate with them. So there is a giant technical part of that, but we had to give as much room for their process as possible. The background actors felt so uncomfortable laughing at her. She was giving such truth in this. Like, it was real decade-long wounds that she was bringing out here. And in the show, it's actually, it's a bit more comedic. Like, she does funny moves, and then everyone does the funny move, and it's a gag. But I remember watching the show when I first saw it and feeling so moved by the end of it. And I just wanted to make that as emotional as possible. I didn't say we should do it this way. It's just when we were working with Cynthia and working with Chris, our choreographer, as we started to find how does Elphaba move. And Cynthia started sort of giving us this sort of, our choreographers came up with some of the stuff, but then she started to work with it. And she's like, this isn't funny, this is for me like just trying to find my space and my movement in it. And that became the center of it. And then for Glinda, to actually become vulnerable at that moment. I said, Ari, you cannot cry. She would be very emotional, get swept up into it. We're like, hold it back, Ari, you can do it. Like, hold it back, keep it in. And so she would try to be strong for this new friend of yours. And so that came about from going into rehearsals and watching it. It was like 20 minutes long, actually, and I recorded on my iPhone, and the crying was never supposed to happen. And even Stephen Schwartz, when he first saw it, had issues with it because he's like, it's not structured like that in the show. The moment in the show is when she looks at herself in the mirror and she says, "You're beautiful," and then she runs away. That's like the center of it. Or when she tells the story of her mom. But again, the movie is speaking to us. It's like, I know how it's structured, but it's happening like right now, in this moment. If I don't get it right now in this way, this will leave us. Like, we will never be able to go back. And so we just double down on it. And so that's sort of how it came to be. Yeah.
And throughout the whole process, was there ever a moment where, I mean, did you always get the balance right between the spectacle and the emotion, the kind of heart? You know, was that balance always the same?
In this sequence particularly, or in the movie?
Not necessarily the sequence. Actually, I'm more thinking about like in the move from part 1 to The Kid for Good.
Did we always get it right? I think we tried really hard. We rarely got it right the first time. You know, something like For Good. Okay, this is the end of the whole saga. You gotta go big. We got the cranes out there. We're gonna sweep across this, and we got this great set. And then they start to sing it, and it never feels right to do any of those shots. You're just like, what? Are we gonna like sweep across at like the most intimate? Actually, that song is about literally what they're doing eye to eye. It's the most covered song. It's the song that everybody has heard many, many times in many different versions. But the advantage that we have in this is that you know these characters, and you know these characters this close. And Ari and Cynthia, the way they sang it to each other, almost wasn't singing it to each other. Almost was just communicating. And when you got to just let them do it and let them drive, it became like, filmmakers, get out of the way. Let them drive. And they're so quiet. So thank God Simon Hayes got it. And it's the most beautiful version of it, emotional version I've ever heard in my life. But we had to take the burden off of doing a show for people. We had to bet on, they're gonna love these girls. We love these girls. Let's follow that. And we had a cut where we had the big shots. I mean, I had that cut for 7 months, and it never sat right. But sometimes it just takes time to as long as we have the clarity and the mantra of like, how do we not get in front of ourselves? How do we let them lead us? We would eventually get there. Yeah.
Jon, you've brought one more clip with you.
Yes.
Shall we watch it? Okay, before we do it, phones away, people. Do
Phones
not
away,
be
please,
filming.
please. I don't want to have to not show this. Yeah. It's a little snippet anyway. It's not like,
Okay, it's your turn. We've got time for just a couple of questions. Hand straight up there.
Oh, that's so interesting. I mean, I'm working on one that I feel like is something that I hold dear to my heart. Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
I was the narrator with David Cassidy.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that's a hard role to sing. You must know. It's my favorite show. And so, but it's a hard one to like reconceive for now, or how to do it with the tone. But I love it so much. It's so playful. So I think we've cracked something in there that's really fun in it.
Can I give you my number?
Yeah. Later.
Here.
Yes. Thanks for the question. I definitely don't think you need film school to be a filmmaker at all. I mean, it was really critical part for my. I had no context of how to get into the business. I had no friends in the business. I had no friends who were even editing movies at that time. At that point, it was just me with the video camera and maybe had like one other friend. Now everybody has a camera and everyone's an editor and a colorist and everybody has their own opinion. But so when I went to film school, it was just like a community of people who loved this medium as much as I did and were smarter and were more creative. So it pushed me to be like, and they broke the rules in ways that I never could imagine. And we all loved Pulp Fiction, and we all loved Swingers, and we all loved The Matrix, and so it was like a fun environment to be in. And I met Alice Brooks, our cinematographer, during that time. And I think it was just like the community, because we could help each other without needing money. Like I could help my friend do this or that, and they would help me on that. So if I didn't have that base, I don't think I could have gotten, like my student film that got me into the business was a musical. And the resources to have that. So Bear McCreary, who's a composer, he was at my school. Yeah, he's a great composer. He was my same grade at the music school. We partnered, and he convinced his friends to be the orchestra. We had like a 30-piece orchestra. And I didn't have the money for that. It was just all us students doing it together. Choreographers and dancers, we just went to the local dance studio and put up a flyer and got people to come in and do that. Alice, I begged her to do this movie with her. So I couldn't have done it outside. I would have had to raise like God knows how much money to do a musical there. But we had this little safe environment to do it in. So, but I loved it, thank God. I think having fun doesn't mean it's easy. And I think having fun is a collective idea that you come out maybe after. I think making movies is hard. I think making art and commerce together is the most difficult thing to do, because you can't just do what you feel. You have to do something and find a bridge between people who won't be interested and people who already are interested and what you want to bring new to that. And so for me, I think on set, it's, again, people are like, oh, it's so nice and pleasant, and it really isn't. I mean, it is freezing cold. We are working our butts off. But I think when we all have a collective goal, and we are all shooting something that's bigger than us, shooting for something bigger than us, and the horizon line is bigger, and Simon Hayes is freaking out, and Francis Han is by the way, in Wicked for Good, wait until you see the Tin Man and the Scarecrow. These are not digital effects. These are real physical makeup and hair, and it is extraordinary. I couldn't show any footage here, but when you see it, when you look at it, know that there was no room for error on it. And the team that did it is just incredible. So again, yes, yes. Were they tortured to do these things? Yes. Were you guys tortured? Yes. Was I tortured? Absolutely. I would lay on my kitchen floor and just look at the sky after and be like, what's happening? But we all believed in something, that this movie was bigger than us. The message was bigger. This is 5+ years. We didn't think of this as one movie. This was always this giant epic saga. And that every step, we knew the knives were out ready to get us. And every day we linked arms and said, we just got to like dig out the truth of this and find this, and whatever, live or die, we're doing this together. And I think that spirit about making a movie is what makes it worth it. We're sacrificing our time with our family and friends to dedicate, to move here, to do all of this at a very high risk. We're spending a lot of money, but in the end of the day, I believe that creativity pushes the human race forward. And I think that we have this huge opportunity with the resources and to have a huge microphone to the world, that we can put optimism into the world, and not naivete, but like hard optimism, that it takes courage to hold that, and that we're putting a message that courage is there is no expiration date for courage. That even if you're like Glinda and you're not able to like stand up quite yet, that there is always tomorrow, and that whenever you stand up, it's still courage. And so I think all these messages were really important for us, and I think that's what makes it fun, is that we're reaching for something higher. And so I can't wait for you guys to see For Good, because I think we've lived, everyone's like, oh, the girls were so emotional last year. Why are they so emotional? It's just like, it's because we lived both movies. We lived their meeting, their separation, their death. We lived the whole thing before you ever saw one frame of it. And so we're living both of these movies. So when you guys catch up and see this movie, we already know what you're gonna feel. And I'm excited for everyone to be there and finally share it with the world. And you're going to see these girls are incredible, way more incredible than you even know yet.
John, this is extraordinary to listen to you. Thank you so much. Listen, I have to thank NBC Universal. Thank you so much for organising this event and for sneakily allowing us that clip. The movie comes out on the 21st of November, like you didn't all know that. And I am, in fact, one of the people who has seen it. And I feel slightly like this might be treason or against the law or something, but I'm going to tell you, it's better. So thank you so much, Jon M Chu.